If you are doing your game art by hand before you start this step, you want to make sure you have your art drawn and outlined, and you want to make sure you've got it scanned. After that, you're going to go to Pixlr and you're going to open an image. Go to whatever image you're working on. We're going to work on these pancakes, for example, and our goal here is to take just the line art, just the lines of this art that we want, and get it onto a transparent background. So I want all the dark lines on this image. To do that, I'm going to go to the magic wand, select that, and just like as an example here, your tolerance is probably going to be pretty low on this. If you were to select with a low tolerance, because this isn't like the same shade of black throughout, it's only going to select a little bit of it because there's too many differences in the shade. If that happens to you, turn your tolerance up. I'm going to set mine around 100 or so, it'll probably work. And with your tolerance up, get your magic wand and click on one of the black line areas that you want. And if your tolerance is set to a good number, it's going to select almost or all of the lines that you want, as long as you've done a good job of doing a nice solid outline on your art. You will maybe notice there's a couple spots on here where I did not get the lines that I wanted. So what I'm going to do is hold the Shift key and then select those other spots that I wanted to select. If you accidentally say, mess up, oh no, you selected way too much, you can go to Edit and Undo. It'll take it back, and then you can try that next selection again. So remember, holding Shift and selecting the little spot I want. And now I've got all of the lines I want to include. The lines over here were just pencil marks I didn't go over again because I didn't want them in my scan and my line art. So now that I've got those lines selected, I'm going to go to Edit, and I'm going to copy those. And then I am going to go to Edit and Paste. So what happened? It looks weird right now, but if you look under our layers, we've got two layers. The background is the original file we were working off of, and layer one is that line art that I just pasted. So the first thing I want to do is on background, double click this lock to unlock that layer. Now you'll see there's a couple of check boxes. If it's checked, that means I can see that layer. So I'm actually going to hide this original layer. And what you'll see for layer one, which is the one that we just pasted in, is we have our line art on a transparent background. So the checkerboard here means it's transparent. What that means in your game is that if you were to use this graphic file, anything that you can see the checkerboard on, you're going to see the background of the game. So my game's going to take place in a courtroom, and right now if I just put this line art on there, you'd see the courtroom behind this pancake along the sides and all throughout, but we're going to color in the middle of this before we're done here. All right, next step. You'll also maybe notice this line art is not just solid black, it's different shades of black, like I mentioned before. I'd like to make it just solid black. You don't have to do that, but if you'd like to, you'll want to just use your wand tool to select all of that line art again. Oh, I'm having trouble getting it here. I'm going to back up here. I might have a problem because of my layers. I'm going to go ahead and delete layer 0, the background layer, because we're not going to need that anymore. Now I'm going to try again, and now it is working. So I've selected my lines. I'm going to select those extra few lines the wand didn't get to begin with. And now I'm going to recolor these. So I'm going to set my main color here, make sure it's set to the sort of darkest shade I can get, the blackest black. Okay, and I'm going to go to this paint bucket tool and click in one of these lines, and there we go. So everything I have selected turned a darker black. If yours doesn't seem to be painting over everything, you can change the tolerance on this as well. The higher the tolerance, the more line it's going to go in color black. So we now have our line art all set and ready to go for coloring. You might also want to go in and use the pencil to touch up any spots that you've got some white areas on that you don't want, or if you have extra lines you don't want, you might want to go through with the eraser and clean that up before we move on to our next step.